Hey, Grampian Nation, welcome back. Today's champion is such a cool guy. He comes to us after starting at the bottom of the construction industry and literally kind of clawing his way up to the top. And he did that watching his mom work 60 hours a week. And so there wasn't a whole lot of people around to help mentor and build him up. And so he really fits the definition of a champion in my book, Self-Made Man, coming to us from Texas. Victor Brenning, welcome to the show, brother. How you doing?
Man, I'm great. I appreciate being here, Jim. Thank you, sir.
All right, this is going to be some fun. So, like you literally were the product of a single parent home, and you reached a couple of pinnacles. One includes something that I'm pretty passionate about, which is hunting, and so just give us a thumbnail sketch about where you came from and what you came through.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate that opportunity. So, kind of like you said, my dad was in my life, let's say, for the first 10 years, but not a part of my life. The book talks about all I remember is a Falstaff or a Schlitz beer and a Salem non-filtered cigarette hanging out of his mouth or out of an ashtray. So my mom was my rock. And then they divorced, I think, when I was 10, and he ended up passing away when I was 16. So my mom led me, she guided me. She put things into me that I didn't realize I had, which was I was in a church school, faith-based school since I was in kindergarten through sixth grade. Then she decided I probably need to be streamlined a little bit, get some real reality of what the world's like. And so, I was grounded. She grounded me. She put me in football when I was 5 years old. I was supposed to be 6. So she put the team sports in me and, getting along, doing your part. So my mom gave me the path, right, that helped me kind of start. And from then, you claw your way, you fumble, you hit your head up against the wall. I just try not to break my neck.
Yeah. So along the way, you started out. So you got out of high school and you went right into construction.
No, I had a scholarship to University of Texas. Hurt my neck my freshman year, so I came back with a 1.6 grade point average. They didn't really want me, after that point in time. And I'm sitting on the couch, and my mom at that point in time had, my little brother and sister that were 10 and 8 years old younger than me. And I see this, my luggage wheel past me. Okay. Then she comes back in. Hey, can I have your keys? Oh. Sure, Mom. Well, maybe she needs gas, right? I don't know. Then she says, can I meet you outside? I said, yes, ma'am. So I walk outside. She hands me the keys, hands me $20. I said, tell me where you land. What? Yeah, sorry. I got your brother and sister to take care of. So that kind of started the construction phase, because I sat on a nuclear power plant's doorstep for 7 days. And I remember the hiring manager came out and he said, son, you can't stay here. And I said, sir, I'm out of gas. I said, I've got bread and water left. And I said, the only way you can get rid of me is hire me. So therefore, I truly started out on a nuclear power plant as a water boy at 2:00 in the morning, distributing water to 10,000 people.
Oh, right on. You know what? There's a little picture of perseverance right there, isn't there?
Just a little bit. It was like I was hungry.
Yeah. So how do you pass along a lesson like that to the younger set these days?
Well, perseverance, you said, I think is important. There's to me, there's no such thing as quitting, right? I mean, you're going to get bucked off. So let's go to the old Texas thing, right? You're going to get bucked off. So cowboy up, right? Dust your pants off, get back on the horse, right? So you have to understand that through life's lessons, you're going to get bucked off. It's going to hurt. You're not going to like the way you landed, but you only have two choices in life: stop or go. Yeah. And to me, you have to go. And that doesn't mean you have all the answers. That just means you're continually striving to try to find those answers. So you have to have that goal of, I'm going to get there. Maybe I don't know what that final product looks like, but I'm going to continue till I get there.
Yeah. So many times in this podcast, I talk to champions who are really have lived that Super Bowl dopamine moment. But that's never what they want to talk about. They want to talk about the team and the grind and the effort and the failures as much as they do the victories and the defeats that brought real life lessons to them. Are there some of those you want to share with our folks?
Absolutely. You know, when I wrote the book, you have two choices. You either be honest and you have to tell the truth, or you lie. So you have to confront a lot of things when you're writing that book. And one of the things I had to confront is my personal life wasn't too well. You know, I went through failed marriages. I couldn't seem to figure out how to, make it work. And, those were some times in your life, you really struggle and going like, what am I doing wrong? What's going, what's here? And, my business life was going well. And, you finally come to some point in life when you realize you got to fix something. There's something wrong, Victor. There's something in you got to fix. So I think those are lessons, like you said, that I've learned the most from. So let's go to construction talk, right? How do you not get fired in construction? Don't make the same mistake twice.
Yeah.
You notice I never said we're not going to make a mistake because we make them every day. Don't make the same mistake twice.
Yeah. And start to learn. You measure twice, cut once.
Oh, yeah. Or 3 times in my case.
Yeah.
I was a terrible carpenter.
And I never had any math skills to boot, so it didn't help.
So trigonometry wouldn't work, would it?
Yeah, I couldn't spell it.
I love it.
So, as you walk through some of the things that you've learned, how do you pass them along to the generation that's coming up behind you? Because you got some people riding your wake now.
I do. The couple that I'm mentoring right now, that are the next future vice presidents, of the company I'm with right now. And, part of that is to let them understand about leadership. And it took me a while to understand that leadership's not leading from the back, it's leading from the front. There's servitude leadership. You got 2 ears and 1 mouth. There's so many little things you want to teach them. But the biggest thing that I think that I want them to understand is about everybody's human, everybody's people, and everybody has a family. And the more you appreciate that and the more you teach them, the better off you're going to be. So I got a saying that I always tell them. If somebody failed, it's your fault. Why? Because you hired the wrong person or you didn't teach them and train them. So those are things I try to instill in them. It's your responsibility to make sure they're up to speed.
Yeah. And then you got to teach them to own it. And that only comes through practice.
I was struggling on a job where I had to tell a young man, that you can't run your job from afar. You have to physically be there and to manage the work. And you look at him now 6 months later and man, he's there. He's in charge. He's making it happen. And, and I told him, I said, because he said, well, how do you own a room? How do you walk in a room and you own the room? You do it because you know what you're talking about and people perceive that they understand what you're doing. So you have to be the expert when you walk in the room.
Yeah. And you also have to roll out some of that confidence that got you to the room.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's some of that. And here's the kind of problem I had through life. I am very passionate. Right. And I'm either in or I'm out. I'm 100% or I'm not in at all. Right. So when you come across sometimes, and somebody's saying something and you do this and you're talking a little louder and more animated and people sometimes think you're pushing. So some of that is just learning to understand, okay, Victor, just tone it down a little bit. You can still get your word across. Yeah. Yeah. I've had to dial it back more than once. I got to tell you, Jim.
I've heard that too, man. It's almost like you're talking into a mirror.
Yeah, I know. It is something about how we have to change to be a better leader.
And I think those are some of the characteristics, though, that got us to be leaders in the first place.
Yes, sir.
And I think that God allows us to get built up, and then He can humble us a little bit. Isn't that true?
It does a really good job of you think you're in charge and you get swatted. Next thing you know, you're laying on your back and you're going, where did that come from? And it took me, honestly, Jim, a long time in my career to know that I wasn't in charge. Right. It took me a while to figure out he was in charge. I was developing a path and he just led me down it. Right. I still believe in life that God's going to help you and he's never going to put anything on that you can't handle. That doesn't mean you sit on the couch and say, give it to me. Yeah. So I think you still have to go after it a little bit. I just thought I was in control and I really wasn't.
For sure. So you said that you started school at a faith-based school. What role did that play in your life coming up? And then how did that change over time?
So back to instilling something in you at an early age, right? I think all of us at some point in time, if we were instilled in faith-based, you travel a little left, you travel a little right, you test the walls, right? How far can I push them? But you eventually come back. And I can tell you that for a fact. You drift, you hit the walls and you start asking a bunch of questions and you look up, you ask for a prayer and next thing you know, you're on a path again. So I think you're grounding, and I think that's some issues we've got today is parents need to be a part of the grounding of their kids and a little responsibility, a little respect. But anyway, we won't go there. We could get on a whole different subject matter.
And so, what role does your faith play as you run the business today that you're doing now?
I think it's everything. Giving back is my goal, right? I just finished a newsletter, excuse me, a newsletter on LinkedIn that talked about the second half of your life. That second half of your life is giving back now for everything that God had given you. Yeah. And that's where my faith plays right now, right? I wasn't put on this earth to take. I was put on this earth to give.
For sure. For sure. So as you built this life, you found yourself out of the construction business and into the wildlife ranching business, into the hunting game. How'd you get there?
So it was kind of by accident. We've been to 5 different continents, and I think my wife and I have harvested almost 150 different species of animals, and so you got to see the world, right? Yeah. But because of the hunting, so I was really concerned. My son and I were on a trip to Nebraska on a prairie dog hunt, and he's always wanted to raise whitetail. And he said, "Dad, you got to see this." So here's a ranch, has so many animals, blah, blah, blah. So we go find it. So my wife loves it. That's going to be our retirement. So, you start getting everything's prepared and you get going. And I'm thinking, oh man, I'm going to turn into a guide. I'm going to turn into an outfitter. I'm a hunter. How's this going to work out? And this is where God stepped in. This is where he really put me on this path, because we were at an outdoor show, just like we all would, right, to go find the next hunt. And my daughter came up to me, and she's got a couple flyers in her hand, and she's all excited. She goes, "Dad, you got to go meet these people." Okay, let's go find them. So I met Gordon Melton. He's the owner and founder of Hunting with Soldiers for the past 20 years. Uh-huh. And then I met Casey Allen, the state director of Cross Trail Outfitters, which is a faith-based Christian group. Mm-hmm. Those 2 groups completely changed what is happening in the ranch. So instead of just being, this is our retirement, this now became, this is where we give back.
Yeah. And so you say give back. What does that look like?
So we've donated 64 hunts over the past 3.5 years to terminally ill kids, Purple Heart veterans, combat veterans, PTSD, anything that we can to help. Our 2 sole main ones are CTO and Hunting with Soldiers. We're very close to that to that group. And it's really, I tell everybody, you're a hunter, you understand this. Nobody's ever come to my ranch and bragged about, man, that 1 second I pulled the trigger. That was so cool. Can I go do that again? Right? Yeah. It's the story before and the story after. So the hunting portion of it is a piece, but it's bringing them together, having the quiet, watching the wildlife, seeing the stars, sitting around the campfire, poking everybody. Oh, you missed that shot. Yeah, but did you see this shot? I found, and Gordon's the one that helped convince me of this, because he's been doing it for 20 years. He said, outdoor heals. He said, you'd be surprised. Just get them in the outdoors, in the outdoor heals.
It's been, I've heard you have said that the hunt has nothing or very little to do with animals.
No, sir.
How can you explain that?
It is extremely hard when somebody you're going up against, number one, talks about you're a killer. Let's be honest, right? As being hunters, right? They don't understand conservation, which is what we do. Okay. So it is hard, but when you sit, I'll give you a couple examples. So when you're here, and Gordon told me this, he said, number one, never ask them about, what happened in the past. If they want to talk about it, let them talk about it. He said, the second thing you're going to see, give them 5 minutes and they become brothers. So you sit down, you have a safety speech, and next thing you know, I didn't know you went there. Oh yeah, I was here. Well, you were there? Do you remember Colonel blah, blah, blah? It's just the camaraderie comes back, and they're there as a team. That's how they're taught. And then you force them into civilization where they're singles. It just brings them all back. And then the hunting portion of it, they're more about, let's talk. Where'd you come from? How are you doing this? And the second part, there's nothing better in your life than watching a 10-year-old kid give his life to Christ. Yeah. Nothing better. And all that happened wasn't because of me. It was because we're just providing an environment. We're trying to be good mentors. We're trying to be good teachers, and we're trying to be good leaders.
Yeah. As I look at it, when we developed any type of a veteran program. We dealt in the telecommunications space, and our guys climb cell towers, but small teams defined objectives and high risk occupation and compressed time frame. And you put all those things together, and it's just got special forces written all over it.
Right.
And like you say, when we brought any of those two components or any of those two soldiers together, there was an instant camaraderie.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And I certainly want to say thank you for what you're doing with the soldiers, man, because like you said, it doesn't have anything to do with animals.
No,
So,
it doesn't.
yeah, what leadership issues do you see that that you're able to bring to some of these people that you take hunting?
Part of it is that to go back to that perseverance.
Uh-huh.
I'm not guaranteeing you when you come out here that you're going to get a shot. I'm not guaranteeing you're going to harvest an animal. This is hunting. That's what it's supposed
Yeah.
to be about. So having that perseverance that goes, well, we've been out 10 times. I saw him for 5 seconds. Well, the animal's got to make a mistake. You got to be better,
Yeah.
right? So perseverance, right, in what they're doing. And part of that leadership is okay when you're coming in. You're gonna make sure your gun's safe. We're gonna put our guns up. So teaching the kids all the little things about responsibility, right? Because we got almost sidetracked on responsibility of kids.
Yeah.
You've got to teach them what that value is. There's consequences for all your actions. So you're kind of leading, guiding through those responsibilities. And it's the same thing even with the veterans. They know about firearms and all that, but
Yeah.
they're used to that regimented action, and that regimented portion just all of a sudden becomes instincts for them, and they just get really used to it.
Yeah. So you say also that they heal differently when you hand them a rifle. What do you mean by that?
I don't know. You're taught in war. This is your baby, right? This is you take care of your baby. This is what you got to have to protect your life and the guy next to you. So it's just watching them around firearms. You get back to watching what they care about and how they take care of things and how they're responsible and how they ask him, hey, is that bolt open? It's their care and control is just so unique that you just don't find out of anybody.
Yeah. And you put them back in a comfort zone then, don't you?
They're home. I mean, that's what they were born and bred when they came into this organization to serve our country.
All right. So the ranch was never born to be a business, but now it is, isn't it?
Yeah. Welcome to the real world. I got to do what?
Yeah, you got payroll now, and you got all kinds of stuff to take care of.
Yeah, count animals. How many do we have? Do we need to get some more? Yeah, but it's a labor of love. There is a mission behind what we're doing, and I've got some incredible guides, and they understand this mission. Every single one of them, when we donate a hunt, or donating their time. Every single one of them. There is no charge that they charge me. So everybody understands the mission that we do, and I think I've got a great group that appreciates. Well, honestly, I appreciate being free. I'm not sure why everybody else doesn't, but I know I appreciate it.
There you go. So you wrote a book. I see it right there behind you.
Yes, sir.
The Man That I Would Become.
Yes, sir.
What caused you to write that?
It really started out as trying to let my grandkids and their kids and their kids understand who I was. I lost my mom about 4 years ago, and it's kind of like the legacy disappears, right? If you think about it, when's the last time have you been on a family reunion, right?
Yeah.
That was a grandparent thing that they'd drag us as we were kids. And here's Uncle Bill, Uncle Fred. And maybe my mom told me who Uncle Charlie was at 4 years old, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, I'm losing my legacy. Yeah. Right. And not my legacy, rephrase this. I'm losing our legacy about where we came from. And just to give you a little bit, I'm an 8th generation Texan. So my family.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I am happy just because somebody's up way north. You're across the Red River line. That's almost a sin, right?
I know, but you guys imported California, and you got to own that too.
I know. Before we moved out here, a Californian bought my house. I'm sorry, I have to admit it.
Okay.
but no, it was really meant just to kind of tell my grandkids and them who I was, what I had to go through, and what they need to go through in life to get through it. And it kind of got deeper. Then I started, you always hear about the 22 to 23 combat veterans on suicide, right? Mm-hmm. Construction has 50. Most people don't understand that. Yeah. So it kind of started making me a little more aware about mental health. So the book changed. It changed me, and maybe I can have a platform to start talking and helping somebody that might need a helping hand other than just the ranch.
Yeah. And how did the book change your perspective I know I got pretty introspective. I wrote a book that has a similar reason for writing it is to talk to my kids and grandkids and stuff like that. But how did it change you?
One is I had to admit some things. It's pretty hard to look in the mirror and talk about, you were probably responsible for failed marriages and you can't blame anybody else, right? Because
Yeah.
I couldn't give my heart. When you were raised the way I was raised, you were raised that you got to help your mom. So there wasn't any chance for play. There wasn't much chance for tears. You had to do what you had to do. So I believe in tens and ones in Victor's philosophy. God gave you tens, makes you a one on the other side. You can't take the hill and charge and you're this guy that's just going to get out of my way and have empathy. The two don't go together. Yeah. So I had to figure out that one didn't have to become a five and a 10 didn't have to become a five. God gave me my 10, so I need to keep them and cherish them. But if I could just bring my one to a 3 or maybe a 4, I could still feel, but I can still charge the hill at the same time, just not kill somebody I shouldn't. Yeah. So that introspective goes into that book the whole time because I had to acknowledge some things. Maybe I didn't want to, maybe I couldn't, maybe I shouldn't, but I had to. And that gave me a lot of introspective about, today and what I went through. And God gave me, my 10 is, I could take all the pressure of the world today and it'd never bother me. But here's what I found out. The ones go to a 2, gets a little harder. It becomes a 3. Oh, it's a lot harder. Oh, it's a 4. Wow, this is killing me. Yeah. So I started understanding a little bit about men's mentality and going to war. And if you've got empathy and all of that, that had to be a struggle and a half for you having to go to war. I couldn't even imagine what that would feel like.
Yeah. As you endured the writing, and I say endured, writing a book for me was certainly a labor of love, and the writing was the easy part. Then came the editing. Who helped you edit that thing?
I'm in the middle of it. So I cheated. So I looked at your books. I looked at your ratings. I looked at your struggles you're going through just like I am. Writing a book, okay, not too easy because Victor hates English and grammar, right?
Yeah.
That's another story. So you make it through that and think, oh, well, that's good. And then, you're looking for an agent, because I self-published. And then all of a sudden the agents pop out of the woods and some of them are scams. They're just trying to give you money. So you work through that one. Then you're trying to get to the publishing. Then you're trying to get to the review. It's like writing a book was so easy. Everything else is terrible.
Yeah. Well, and then the lady with the red pen comes in and starts to edit, and you realize everything you wrote was garbage. And if you happen to be married to her, it's even worse.
Oh no!
17 years of homeschooling taught my wife how to really edit my book well.
Wow.
But in retrospect, she made it so much better. I just had to develop a little thicker skin.
You do, and I'm running through that now. I just went through revision 1 because the book's published, but I went through revision 1 due to some agents and some other people's, And I don't know about arc and starting and ending, and you know what I mean. Yeah. So it's but you know what? I like to learn. So it's a challenge. You take the challenge on, and we'll get through it.
All right, same here. So where can people find the book now?
So we're on Amazon. Okay. So if you just look up Victor Breding or The Man That I Would Become, you can find on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, any of the places basically that you can sell. And you can also find it on the ranch's website, BredingTexanRanch.com.
All right, spell that for us now.
Yes, sir. So Bretting is Bretting, then Texan, TEXAN, then Ranch, RANCH.com. But if you want to Google it, yes, sir. If you want to Google it, it's just B-Tex, B-Tex Ranch.
B-Tex Ranch. All right.
Yes, sir.
So what was one of the things that you learned from the book that's a takeaway that you could hand to a grandson or a granddaughter?
Yeah, I think the most important of it is what legacy are you leaving? And that's not a car, and that's not a boat, it's not a house, and it's not money in the bank. What legacy are you leaving? And that's the biggest thing that I'm trying to teach my kids right now. The legacy I'm leaving you is a legacy of giving, and you need to continue the legacy of giving for this ranch. If not, I'm going to sell it. There's no sense in doing this. I'm not going to leave you money. That's not what this is about. This is about I'm leaving you something of a legacy that you can continue on and help other people.
So tell us about one of those hunts that you were on where you looked, you look back on it and go, wow, that was special because dot, 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 fill in the blank, Victor.
There's two. So 4 years ago was in Mozambique, and I promised myself that I was not going to harvest any of my dangerous game under high fence. I wanted to do it like Roosevelt did. So my crocodile, my hippo, my Cape buffalo, all were 58 miles of hiking, sitting in croc-infested and hippo-infested waters in a little dinghy, real world, and where you're at. But we just got back from Africa, and I think one of my favorites is helping with conservation. Is I green darted my rhino. So sitting next to that animal that's still alive, but he's tranquilized enough that you can get near him and get your pictures, and realizing what God put in front of me. It was pretty amazing. And then I tell everybody, I just made some posts on this. Everybody talks about the rhinos. They don't talk about the farms that invest the money to keep the rhinos and what they have to go through to keep them, and the anti-poaching and the money they spend and the fences that they put up, right? It is an on and on and on. They spend so much money in keeping these rhinos. So I wanted to give the kudos to the people that really are putting the conservation effort in, and that's the people on these ranches.
Yeah. And that's people don't understand how much work that is. What does it take to fence in a rhino?
A lot, because if they really want to come through it, they're going to come. It's like
not a lot that's going to stop a dump truck, right?
No. And part of that's your care and control, right? It's, we've got bison. Same thing. Bison wants to come through a fence, they're going to come through a fence. Yeah. So if they feel like they're cared for, or if you don't push them and drive them, they know where their food and water is, right? It's care and control. And that's what part of that conservation is I am responsible, and I am taking care of that animal.
Yeah. And so what other kind of animals do you have? Now, you said 2 hunts. So the first one was the green dart and the rhino. And the second one was what?
So the first one was the Mozambique trip. That's where I did the dangerous game. And then my wife and I just came back from Africa on my green dart rhino hunt, and she hunted some other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. What is it? How cool is it to be able to sit in a Jeep or whatever with your wife and then get out and track dangerous game, man? That's got to be crazy cool.
You get some pride, and I watch her, right? Because I didn't harvest anything. It was just my green dart, because I've harvested most of the animals in Africa, and it was about her trip, right? Yeah. And just watching her, and and I left at one time because I think she had a couple of issues on a couple of animals. So next day I didn't go back. So she got all of her animals. So there's pride, and there's leave her alone. Yeah. And then having her as my shut your mouth, Victor. I know. The manly thing about honey, here's the direction. Oh, no, shut your mouth, Victor.
Yeah. So, why are most men building something that might be wrong, and then they don't realize it before it's too late?
Well, I think they get caught in their own trap of I think I'm right, and I'm guilty of that a lot myself, right? And even in today, we had the conversation about how do you stay in construction? Don't make the same mistake twice. So you get to a habit of thinking you're right, and sometimes you stop listening. And I still think if you're going to get the buy-in from your people, you've got to be able to listen to what their ideas are. And you might explain that it's not going to work, and here's the reason why not. So I think some of our bullheadedness gets us in trouble a lot of times, where we don't really listen to what's kind of being said around us. And I think the other part is we're just kind of ingrained to not be wrong. I know I hate being wrong. I'll be honest with you. It just makes me so mad. And it's not because of being wrong. It's just because I felt like I let myself down and I didn't do the research I was supposed to. So I think some of that is just the way we're taught, or the way we're brought up, or how we're supposed to act. I don't know. There's something inside of us that makes us just think we're right all the time.
It's the hardest word to say is I was.
Yeah. I didn't hear you. What was that again?
I was.
Yeah. It didn't come out too well for me either.
Yeah.
My wife always tell me, "Can you repeat that again? Because I'm going to record it."
Record it for posterity and write it on the calendar.
That is exactly right. I'm going to remember the day you said this.
Yeah. So you brought up TR. I think that's really cool and appropriate right now, especially as they just opened up in Medora, North Dakota, the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Museum. Are you looking forward to seeing that?
I am. Yeah. I've read a lot about him, a lot of admiration for what he did and what he went through, and the hunting side of things and all that. Because I couldn't imagine what it was like back him to go on a safari, and that's why I wanted to kind of experience it. And I got close. Mozambique is pretty dangerous, as far as your animals. Yeah. Nothing like going by and seeing a cobra with his head up coming out of the grass. So, but yeah, just if we talk about grit and determination, right? Mm-hmm. Think about what they went through, what the settlers went through to get here. Think about what Roosevelt. I look at them with admiration, and we think we have it tough. We have no earthly idea what they went through, Yeah.
Well, if you get a chance in Medora, North Dakota, there's a cabin that you can stay at, and it was a cabin that was TR's. And,
okay, that'd be cool.
It's really an amazing experience. I took a bunch of my family members there, and we stayed the night in TR's cabin. It was just like a dream come true, true. So
excellent.
Now we got in our plug for Medora, North Dakota. But you know what? You want to talk about a tough guy? He spent some winters up there. Yeah. And to be able to do that at 30 below, and the wind starts at the edge of the western or eastern slope of the Rockies in Montana, it doesn't stop until it hits a tree in Minnesota.
I spent some time in South Dakota on a project we had for about 4 months, so I thoroughly understand.
Right on. Okay. So on this show, we give somebody an opportunity to talk about someone who helped them along in their journey in such a significant way that they just got to say thank you right now. Victor, for you, who would that? I think I feel like I got a hankering of who I know that might be, but who would you give props to for investing in you when maybe you didn't deserve it?
Well, can I say two? Is that okay?
Sure. Yeah.
So of course it has to be my mom, right? Because of what she instilled in me at an early age. In my later age, it's my wife. Yeah. I wouldn't be who I am today. Because of the failed marriages, I could always tell my kids, here's what you don't do, or here's what you don't want. I never could tell them what you do. My wife has showed me what that person is, and that is somebody that makes you a better person, that holds me accountable, that knows how to hold me accountable and not make me mad. No, my wife has totally transformed me into, back to the book, to the man I am today. That's just the way it is.
Right on. And so what's your mom's name?
It's Joyce.
Joyce, and your wife's?
Is Rhonda.
Joyce and Rhonda, we want to thank you for helping shape Victor into the man that he's become. Victor, we are encouraging everybody to go read, get a copy of and read The Man That I Would Become, and give us a way to get in touch with you.
Well, so again, same thing. If you just would Google my name, Victor Bretting, you're going to find all kind of ways to do it. The website, again, brettingtexanranch.com. It has the phone numbers on there, my email addresses, and you can call me any which way or email me at any time. I'd be glad to correspond with you.
All right. Sounds good, man. Thanks for coming on the Grampian. We appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the invite.
All right. And hey, Grampian Nation, you keep having those Grampian-sized dreams and chase them down, catch them, and do something about it. Until next time, this is Jim. Thank you, Victor Bretting, and we are out. When you get an opportunity